Hello everyone, this is Sujay Ram and here is Rajan sir from Bangalore and today's event topic is about how to get started with AI and ML and I hope you guys are all safe in this quarantine. Be safe and don't go anywhere and yeah, let's get started. So you can start now sir.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, I hope you can see my screen, right?
Yeah, I can say able to see your screen sir.
Yeah, awesome. So, hey all, I hope you are safe and you are doing great in your life. So, this today's topic is mostly about this how to get started with AI and machine learning. So, just a brief introduction about me and my company. So, I am Jyotiranjan Mishra. I have been a data scientist from last 5 years, and I'm also founder at Coppens Technologies and Cora. So, Coppens is mostly a corporate training house for data science and AI, and Cora is a product development company. And recently, we are developing a chatbot which can help some other corporates to integrate some conversational dialogue system to their existing softwares. So, okay, so in this topic, my goal is to give you a brief introduction. If a fresher wants to start his career, his or her career in AI, then what are the things that they can do, right? So let's get started. So, what exactly is AI? So we definitely know this is the most hyped tech of the last decade. Everybody is talking about AI. So what exactly is AI? It's basically achieving human level intelligence. There are a lot of definitions. You can see so many complex definitions about okay, AI can do this and do that, but the ultimate goal of AI or any machine learning model is to achieve or match human level intelligence, right? So we are very close in that goal to reach to that era where we can start thinking of getting a little bit close to our human intelligence. But if you are honest, then human intelligence is very complex, and it takes a lot of years of evolution to reach to those kind of complex decision making process, right? So maybe in next 10 to 15 years, the goal of this AI and machine learning is to reach to a tech where we can actually compare our knowledge to almost a human knowledge, right, or a human intelligence. And that era is going to be called as artificial general intelligence. So we are currently in artificial narrow intelligence. So narrow intelligence is the space where, if let's imagine or talk about a self-driving car. So if I'm talking about a self-driving car, then a self-driving car, it's a model that can only know, or that knows how to drive a car. It cannot do more than that, right? Whereas a human driver can interact, can share his emotions, he can understand the environment and all those things. But those dimensionality aspect of uh, the dimensionality of a human intelligence is not there with the self-driving car tech, right? But it is really good at whatever the thing that it is doing. It is driving well. There are very less number of accidents that are happening because of this self-driving cars tech, but it doesn't have those the dimensionality. So when we are talking about ANI are the models, and the narrow intelligence are the models where they are very good at the task that is given to them, but they don't have those dimensionality to them. They cannot do multiple things at the same time. Whereas a human, it has a lot of dimensionality. A human can be a good lawyer, simultaneously he also can be a good singer. So we can have a lot of dimensionality, right? So that is what we mean by artificial general intelligence. So in next few years, our goal is to move from ANI to AGI. Okay. So this is a very interesting uh, curve that we normally follow. So this is created by a company called as Gartner, and this particular cycle is called as Gartner Hype Cycle for emerging technologies, right? So what Gartner is almost like a market research company like McKinsey, and these people every year try to find out which are the technologies that we're going to see in next 5 to 10 years that are going to rule the world. So if you see this curve properly, then you can see most of the text in this curve belongs to AI. So for example, this biotech culture or artificial tissue, it's AI. So immersive workspaces, it's not AI, but it can AI can be used here also. So again, generative adversarial networks, AI, adaptive machine learning, AI, decentralized autonomous organization, AI. So almost 70 to 80% of the text that you are seeing in this emerging text belongs to AI. So that says something, right? Like AI is definitely in demand, and you can see like this this whenever we reach to this curve, this part of the curve, like the right hand side of the curve, that means the technology is going to be very successful, and that is where we're moving with the AI technology currently. So I hope there is a like audience who can answer this. So can you say me? So do you agree with me that AI is the future currently? Sujay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can able to hear you, sir.
Okay, so what do you think? Like AI is the future, whether it is true or false?
Yeah, it's true, sir, because everything is getting automatic, sir, like self-driving cars from Waymo, and even Tesla is developing more artificial intelligence in the cars, sir. So it's one of the most future thing.
Yeah, so almost every day, like even Google, YouTube, Facebook, everybody has started using AI to give a better user experience, right? So
Yes,
definitely AI is the future. So yeah, that's true that AI is the future. So anybody can learn data science and AI. So what do you think? This is true or false?
yes, sir. There are many open source courses also, sir. Like beginner courses are also there in YouTube to know about the basic things of the AI. To if they want to learn more, they can buy courses from website like Coursera, Udemy.
Yeah, so nowadays it is not confined to only MIT and Stanford. So
Yes, sir.
what I understand from this is now with this internet and accessibility to contents, we can say that it is no more confined to those Ivy League colleges, right? Everybody from any part of the world can now access those contents, and anybody can start learning about data science and AI. So it's again a true fact. So again, if I'll say that industry is looking for good data scientists, then everybody will agree yes, because data science is not a run of the mill course where you say, okay, just go and take a course and you should be able to land up with a job. That's not the case. So there is a little bit of challenge there. So there is this good term really matters, though there is no concrete parameters or metrics to define what exactly are the skills of a good data scientist, but that is what we'll see in this talk. So okay, what do you think, like this is true or not? There are plenty of jobs in AI. This is true or false?
Yes, it's true, sir. Because every company is now focusing on the AI, so they are seeing for they are opening the job opportunities for the AI developers.
Okay, so I personally feel like there is a lot of false hype has been created in terms of jobs in AI. So you might be correct, Sujay, like the way you see that everybody is talking about AI, and all those institutions are promoting, like we have 92,000 jobs in India backend and total of 5
Yes,
lakh
sir.
jobs are backend in the world. But to be honest, being in this industry, I feel really there is not that many jobs. There are jobs, but the way they're projecting, like you just take a course and you'll be able to land up with a job,
Yes, sir.
I I don't think that's the case, right? So I'll tell you
Yeah.
why I'm telling you all this, because these are the myth busters. If somebody wants to make a career in this technology, they need to understand what is the truth, not just the hype, right?
Yes, sir.
So what do you think? This is correct? Data science is the highest So this is
Yes,
this is
sir.
also one
That's
of the
true.
things that you might have seen, right? People are saying that data
Yeah,
science is the highest paid job. So what do you think?
yeah.
It is true or
Um,
false?
yes, it's true, sir, because data scientist is one of the even I actually read an article before 1 week, sir, about this one. In that article, there is a quote that data scientist is the highest paying job in nowadays.
Okay, so here is another myth buster that there are some articles that are claiming that data science is the highest IT, like highest paid IT job, but
Yes, sir.
it's not the only high. It is not the only high paid job, guys. So if you know, like if a good software developer can also make almost very a similar amount of money to that of a data scientist. So though it is correct that a data scientist is making more money compared to maybe automation, a testing engineer, or maybe a simple WordPress web developer, but it is not the case that they're the only high paid professionals, right? There are also many other jobs where you can also earn good amount of money. So it is easy to get a job in data science as a fresher. What do you think?
So actually, every company is only seeing for the experience. So as a fresher, I think it's not easy one to get as a freshers.
Yeah, so it's very correct. So normally, uh, there is a myth around the industry that if you're just taking a course and it will be easy for you to get into these companies. But to be honest, I personally felt that if you are a fresher, then it is very difficult for you to get a job in data science, right? So
Yes, sir.
what exactly are the steps that they can take? Maybe they first complete a course. After that, they have to go for some internship, maybe from 5 months of internship or 6 months of internship. Or for some people who are from a completely different background, maybe they also have to go for 1 year of internship. But yeah, that internship is really matters at this point of time. I feel that without this proper internship with a startup, no big companies will accept a fresher as a data scientist, and there's a good reason. When you are claiming yourself as a data scientist, that means the company has to expose all the data to you, right? And for a company, data is money, and that is where they're making money. So they don't really want to share their crucial information with a person who doesn't deserve it. So yeah. Okay, so the last one, you need to know big data and DevOps to become a good AI engineer. It's true or false?
Sir, I'm not sure about it.
Okay, so mostly this is one of those controversial topics that normally people have been facing, that whether we need to know big data and DevOps as an AI engineer. So we'll see what exactly the industry trend, and if you are searching for a job in data science, then whether you should be knowing these technologies or not, right? Okay, so I'll just start with a. So what are the things that you need to know to be a data scientist? I guess that this is the most important topic that why you have been attending this session or this lecture, correct? Right. So this is something that we follow at our organization Cockpins. So whenever somebody actually takes this data science course, then these are the things that we teach to those people, right? So what we expect from the candidate is that they have at least good amount of Python knowledge. In case they don't have any Python knowledge, that is the first thing that they have to do. So you either have to master R or Python. So almost 75% of the industry has accepted Python as the core programming language for data science. So it is better for you to go with the Python, right? So if you know Python, then it is always a thumbs up. You are learning the right tool to go ahead. So the first thing that we expect the people to know the basic and the fundamental about Python programming. Then the second thing that we expect the people to know is the statistics and maths. So when I'm talking about stats, it is not just about this mean, median, and mode, right? So there is a lot more to this, standard deviation and mean. in statistics. So the one thing that you might be using most of the times in data science is this normal distributions, chi-square distributions, t distributions, and also inferential statistics and all those things. So if you can find a good fundamental resource for this basics of statistics and probabilities, it is great. Go ahead with it. So probabilities is also one of those topics that normally people have skipped during their school days and college days, but this is also one of those core tools or the logics that you'll be using full time in your data science career. Okay, so once you are really, really good at this fundamental of Python and stat and maths, so yeah, so in terms of maths, you also need to know the one particular topic of maths that you should be very good at is calculus and a linear algebra, right? So the other two topics I feel that you should be very confident about if you are starting with data science career. Now, after this, you should be learning more advanced libraries in Python such as pandas and matplotlib, cborn, and plotly, bokeh. These are the libraries that will help you in two things. The first thing is data wrangling process. Data wrangling is the process of data collection, data cleaning, finding out the right data, and all those things. And once you have the right data with you, how you are using these visualization techniques to get to the you actually create those presentations for the CXOs, right? If maybe you are presenting those presentations for the chief executive officer or the chief financial officer, so those people are not the techie people. So you have to represent your data in such a way that they can understand it, right? That is one of the core skills of a data scientist. He need to know how to present the data in a simpler manner so that the higher management people can understand those insights. So once you are, good in all those things, let's say you are good at Python, you are good at all this basic data wrangling libraries called as pandas, and you also know about these visualization tools such as bokeh, plotly, cborn, and all those things. And you're also you have also quite a bit of exposure towards the statistics and probabilities. Then you can start going to, there is a website called as kaggle.com. So you can go to kaggle.com and you can start your doing your mini exploratory data analysis projects, right? In those EDA projects, what you basically learn is so there are many data scientists. So Kaggle is a data science community, and there are a lot of free data sources, and so these expert data scientists have already submitted their projects for that particular data set. So for a beginner, they can go to that Kaggle. They can explore what exactly those experienced data scientists are doing, and they can get insight out of it, and they can also learn how to code, and also they can share their coding skills also there, right? So from the Python basics of Python skills to this completing this EDA projects is called as data analysis. So if you are want to be a Tableau engineer or you want to be a data analysis engineer or a data analyst, then it is a this amount of knowledge can also help you to land up with a job. But as a data scientist, you need to know a little bit more. So in statistics, we call it as the predictive analytics, right? So descriptive analytics and diagnostic analytics are something that a data analyst should know. But whereas a data scientist, you also need to know about predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is nothing but predicting the future, right? So for that, we need to know more about some advanced concepts like machine learning and deep learning. So under machine learning, you should be very confident about supervised learning and unsupervised learning. So reinforcement learning, I always feel that the application of reinforcement learning is still very limited. So if you are in the early days of your machine learning, then you don't have to stress too much to learn those reinforcement learning, but supervised and unsupervised learning should be something that you should focus on, right? So one of those models like random forest, XGBoost, latent Dirichlet allocations, and your PCS, TSNE. These are the concepts I really feel that you should be knowing to become a good machine learning engineer. Now, Again, maybe in 2015 or 2016, this much of machine learning, basics of machine learning was enough. But in 2020, if you are saying that you know only till machine learning, that is also not suffice, right? You also need to say that, okay, I also know about neural networks, and under the neural network, you have this image processing and natural language processing. So though it is little bit, though image processing is little bit hyped, but I guess I personally have done the research on both of those fields, and I feel like you should also know proper natural language processing tools, right? And my personal favorite tool for all the natural language processing or deep learning tasks is PyTorch. Some people use TensorFlow and Keras, but I have seen like recently PyTorch is getting popular. So if you are getting started with this machine learning and deep learning, so do remember to go to PyTorch website and see how PyTorch is working. It is quite interesting. Okay. So at the end of your learning process, do also remember to do a major project in deep learning mostly, because that is something will add lot of weightage to your CV, and you can say, okay, if the interviewer will see that this guy can complete an entire end-to-end pipeline of the deep learning project, then this guy is worth hiring, right? So this is the entire pipeline that you should be following. So okay, good enough. Like, now you know what are the things that you need to know in terms of like to get started with this data science career. So this is how exactly this data science job looks like, right? It all starts with a simple question. So as a data scientist, normally people ask us like, what is that one thing that you face the most, what is the most challenging thing that you face in your job? So the only challenging thing in our job is not coding. It is not even visualization. It is not even creating those machine learning or deep learning models. The most challenging thing that I will always say is to find out the right problem statement, by solving which the company can be benefited, right? If you're not able to find those crucial questions or the points which can be answered by collecting data, then there is no point of applying data science itself. So as a good data scientist, so normally this comes with experience, but yeah. So as a data scientist, the goal of a data scientist is not only to be good at all the tools, but also to be good at this critical thinking of how we can create those problem statements, right? So all the basic problem statements, all the basic work, how data science works, start with this problem statement, and formulating those problems is also quite a bit of art. Now, once you know the problem statement or what you want to exactly solve, then you start collecting data. So here you use all this, big data processes that big data pipelines, Spark, SDFS, Pig, and all those things. And out of all that data that you have collected, you apply this data wrangling process. Data wrangling is nothing but data cleaning and data preparation process. So within this data wrangling and data preparation process, you actually clean the data to find out which is the data that you actually need out of this ocean of data, right? You just imagine that we are generating almost terabytes of data every day. We really don't need each and every piece of data for our to solve our problem statements. So for a particular problem statement, we need a specific data, and that's exactly what this data wrangling process does. So once you done with your data wrangling process, so for data wrangling process, we normally use this pandas and visualization, right? So once we know this once we are done with this data wrangling process, then we apply all our machine learning tools. So normally in machine learning, we use this as so for basic machine learning tasks, we use scikit-learn and NumPy. And if it is a complex task where we have to use this deep learning stuff and all, then we have to use the advanced libraries such as PyTorch or Keras or TensorFlow, correct? So once you apply that, you have a machine learning model. And once you have a machine learning model, that means you are done with the automation. So the end result can be a AI product where the entire process or the you have a incoming data, and the result is automated and you don't need a human intervention there. You can also generate this data report and data visualization that can present to your management team, and they can get benefited by it. So that is how a typical work of a data scientist looks like. Okay. So earlier I said like whether you need to know about this big data and DevOps or not. So it really depends. So I will give you a brief idea about how I go about this idea of whether you should be able to know this big data or DevOps or not. So normally there are three types of companies in the industry. So one, tech giants. So when I'm talking about this, Microsoft, Google, IBM, these are called as the tech giants, right? They have lakhs and lakhs of employees, and they have a lot of money with them. There are also mid-sized companies. So mid-sized companies are the companies who are having employees between 100 to some 5,000 within that range. So I normally call them as this mid-sized companies. And there are also startups. So startups are the companies where normally it can be a single person company, or it can also go till 100 people company, right? So let's see how exactly what are the expectations of these companies and how we can define it. So for a large company, so when I'm talking about a large company like Google or Amazon, so what exactly they're expecting from a data scientist. So if you see this red triangles, then this red triangle is the expectation of the companies, right? So for a large company, so though the data pipeline includes this data collection, big data wrangling, analytics, and AI, but the only thing that these large companies are expecting from the data scientists is to do this analytics and AI. They really don't need to. You don't need to worry about these big data teams and the big data process, data collection process. Data collection is nothing but collecting data from these IoT devices and sensors and all those things. So for data collection process, they have a separate team because this is a large company. They have multiple teams with them. So for big data process, they have big data engineers. So data engineering team is different from the data science team. And for data wrangling, also they have this, this SQL teams who already familiar with this pandas and all. They might be using for all those things. And mostly analytics and AI is being taken care by a data scientist. So in these are the companies where you will see the data science positions has been mostly the demanded positions are mostly asking for this MTech and PhD degrees. So if you're applying for a large company as a fresher, you better need to have those masters and PhDs. Otherwise, it is very difficult for you to get into this large companies directly without a master degree to AI and analytics, because you can see they are not worried about the entire thing. They're only worried about the top skills, analytics and AI directly. Whereas in the mid-sized company, they also expect you to clean the data. So here comes this experience of this SQL and different databases. So it's not you don't need to know the entire big data architecture for that. So good knowledge about SQL and Postgres SQL, and how to connect different databases, how to deal with these JSON files and all. So if you are familiar with those things, then you should be able to, you are good to go. Basically, in a mid-sized company, their expectation is about this data wrangling, analytics, and AI. This is what they're expecting a data scientist to do. Okay, so you can see the expectation has increased from a large company to a mid-sized company. Whereas this is the scenario in a startup. Okay, so they expect you to almost like it's a superhuman thing that they expect, right? They expect you to collect the data, they expect you to do the big data, they also expect you to create the big data pipeline, which is itself is a huge mammoth task. And they also expect you to do the data wrangling, analytics, AI, and finally they also expect you to do the deployment. And they also need you need to know this uh, Docker, Kubernetes, and cloud technologies and all those things. So it's a quite a challenging job in startups. So normally I feel if you really want to learn the entire end-to-end pipeline and the aspect of the data science career, then startup may be a good idea. But if your focus is only AI and machine learning, then there is no way you can survive in a startup because their expectation is too high. Okay, so here is the like here is the takeaway. The if you are applying for a large company, then mostly you'll be into a proper machine learning and deep learning job. You can expect that because they already have other teams to do it. uh, they already have other teams to take care of this data collection, big data wrangling, and all those things. And for deployment, also they have DevOps team. But for a startup, it is quite a challenging thing because they don't have those resources, so they expect the data scientists to do all these things. Okay, so it really depends. So what are the skills that you need to know? It really depends on which kind of company that you're trying to go to. So which are the industries that is hiring the data scientists mostly? So if you go to this websites where they're collecting the stats, I really don't know whether these stats are that accurate, but uh, to what I have seen in this websites, I got this result that banking and finance is the industry where mostly data scientists are going, right? Almost 47% of the data scientists are currently working in this banking industry. So I was recently, listening to one news where this Standard Chartered has had almost like 300 data science, 3,000 data scientists for its Singapore branch. So it's quite a huge number. But it's not the only industry. If you want to choose an industry, you can remember that for each and every industry currently AI is being used. So you can actually go and apply for all these industries. But yeah, mostly most of the data science jobs are currently in the financial industry. So if you want to be a data scientist, then other than this skills that whatever I've showed to you, you also better need to have this domain knowledge. That means if you want to move to this financial industry, then you better need to know a little bit about this finance and financial terms. Okay, so there is a lot of confusion is going around, and there is a people have started taking these online courses, and the score the success rate is pretty low. You see, like a lot of people are not able to complete even the course, and they are leaving the course in between. So what exactly is happening? Why people are not able to cope up with this technology, and why after learning some 4 months or 5 months they are feeling disheartened? The first thing that I feel is they don't have this you know uh, passion to learn. So the people who are passionate about learning and who really want to who prioritize knowledge over these jobs and what kind of job I'll get, whether I'll if I'm learning this much of things, I definitely need those kind of jobs. Normally those are the people who end up with nothing. Okay, the people who are really passionate about this topic, I have seen people from BCom background, and they're now working as a data scientist, and the reason was they're pretty passionate about this topic. So the first thing that I know really matters to be a data scientist is that how passionate you are about it, right? Now you also have seen like people are talking about these high level technologies like deep learning and all those things. It is good to know deep learning. I'm not saying deep learning is bad. Even I also personally use deep learning a lot in my work. But for a beginner, I feel they never expect you to write a deep learning code. The first thing that they expect you to write is some SQL queries. They also expect you to write some good amount of pandas code, and you should also be very familiar with these visualization tools like Tableau, ClickView, and also Python libraries such as this Matplotlib and Seaborn. So if you are a beginner in data science field, then first you master these three things: SQL, visualization, and pandas, because these are the three things that you are actually going to. This is what your first job will involve. So be careful about it. And for long term, if you are thinking of making data science as a proper career, then deep learning is must. And in deep learning, image processing also is creating a lot of hype. But trust me, NLP is where the cream lies. It is a little bit tough compared to your image processing and computer vision tasks. But if you are a good NLP engineer, I feel the future is a little bit safe. Okay, then normally people avoid this concept. They don't talk about this oops concept and how to use this dunder function and oops in their data science projects. But for a production line code, you have to use this object oriented programming codes and dunder functions in your Python, right? So if you are learning Python, then make sure that you learn about those classes, class method, static methods, and encapsulations, inheritance, and under functions, because these are the things that you'll be using for your actual projects. Okay, for if you're going to a company, there you cannot write some messy code. You have to keep your code in a structure, and for that, it is better to have knowledge about this object-oriented programming. So do projects, lot of projects. You don't do only one or two projects. That will not give you any idea about the real data science process. At least you do 10, you take 10 data science 10 data sets from Kaggle, and at least complete 10 projects, then only you will get a fair amount of idea about how exactly this EDA is working, how exactly the machine learning is working, and what are those thinking, what is the thinking process of this data scientist, and all those things. If you really want to understand those things, then it is always better to do some real world projects. And the best place where you can go and get some ideas is Kaggle again, right? So, though you don't need to know about this Docker and Kubernetes, I really feel like it is an optional thing. If you're in a large company, they'll be having this DevOps team who can take care of those things for you. But it is always a good thing that you can learn about this Flask. And so Flask is a Python library which is normally we use for API, application programming interface, and for deployment. So also get a good idea about this pickle files, how you do the serialization, so that you can actually, once you create the model, how you can wrap the model and you can use this in a cloud environment for the deployment, right? This is something also that you can use. So yeah, again, the last thing that I really feel, and I should be very honest about it, if you're a fresher and you're thinking that okay, by just completing a course you can get into this large companies like IBM or Google or Microsoft, then this is not going to happen. So first, if you are a fresher in data science, then find a startup where you can go and at least work for 6 months and gain some knowledge. Then you think of applying for these larger companies. So it takes almost an year to master data scientist. So if you're in a hurry, like I will complete the entire data science course in 2 months or 3 months, and then I should be able to get a job. Don't do that. You will not be able to learn the technology properly, and you will put yourself in a wrong place and in the wrong company. So and to to counter that myth that there are a lot of jobs and can easily get a job, it's really not the case. There are jobs, but for the people who are really understand this technology and who are passionate about it. So if you really want to be in data science field, then the first thing that you need to know is generate some passion, go and do some internships, and get some right skills. Then definitely you can find a good amount of job. But yeah, without the right skills, I don't think that the anybody is anybody will be interested to hire you. So yeah. So finally, these are the resources, the free resources that I have listed for you guys. Like I will share this PPT with Sujay, and he can share with you guys. So this is something that I feel like everybody should know as a beginner, right? So there are some things in this content might be a little bit advanced, but it is okay to go and do more research about it. So if you are completing this resources entirely, it will take anywhere between 6 to 8 months to complete all these things. But if you are able to complete all these resources, then you can say that okay, at least some fundamentals about data science. Okay. So yeah, during the coding time, you will see you are stuck. You are not able to understand what to write, what method I'll be using. So remember, Google, YouTube, and Stack Overflow. These are the three friends for a data scientist. So if you are, a beginner in data science, then always refer these three channels. And these are also my three favorite places to go whenever I feel that I'm stuck. Okay. So I hope this gives you a good idea about what exactly is data science and how should we getting started. So yeah, so Sujay, like uh, I guess that's it from me. That's it from my
So,
side. So
sir, there is a question, sir.
yeah, yeah, sure.
Uh, yes, sir. The question is there any similar jobs like artificial intelligence?
So yeah, so in India, normally what happens is artificial intelligence is so the job role is mostly called as data science job or data scientist. So data scientist is a person who knows this machine learning and artificial intelligence in India mostly. So, but in US and all, we have seen like people have this very specific job about machine learning engineers, AI engineers, and data scientists. So they have defined a very thin boundary between those three things. But in India, I guess mostly the AI engineering, machine learning, this deep learning engineers, and all those things will fall under fall under the same bucket, and that is data science.
Yeah, okay. So Thank you, sir, for coming, and I hope you guys like this session. And I will update the next session soon. And next event is going to be something different. And yeah, okay. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you, Sujay. Yeah, take care, guys. Bye.